Hi everyone. This is very loud. Is that fine? You know what? I think I actually want... Let's get some thunder. Should have thunder in, alright? That should be good. Why am I getting ads for ED? I don't know what Ed is. But, yeah, fucked, I guess. There we go. It's good to be back. I hope everyone's doing well. Let me know if the rain is coming through and the music is coming through properly. Tonight, we're just talking. And working out thoughts. My clickety-clacky is gone. Maybe we just do thunder. With no... This does have some rain to it. There we go. Ooh, that's good. I live now. Welcome back. This won't do. Where do I add the typewriter sound? Community plugins. Let me... I missed that clickety-clacky. Oh, you know what? Hold on. I'm almost sure. It's, here. Click clack, there we go. There it goes. There we go. Nice. I was just training AI. Let's just say the AI are as smart as me. That would be a very smart AI. Then I ain't gonna feed into the depreciation. Hello, Goober. Welcome home, by the way. I've missed these streams. Uh, 7% accurate with predicting heart disease. Damn. That sounds pretty good. I don't know if it's bad by AI standards. That's pretty damn sweet. I used a heating pad to turn my chair into a heated seat, and it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. $70% is passable if you want to calculate fair price for things in a store. AI standards should be 95% for anything medical. Ah, I see. Well, I mean, it does take a lot of money to train an AI, so I don't know. It sounds good to me, but I understand it's not acceptable. is an unnatural. Bias. Giving Corpse Bride? It is Giving Corpse Bride. I was just thinking about changing it. There we go. The duet piece from Corpse Bride? That, my dear Latrap, is copywritten. Unfortunately. The only thing that exists is the present, which is just imaginary. Future is just an imaginary world of what we think is most likely to happen. But in imagining it as a real place, we begin to believe it is real. We tell ourselves, I'm going to go home and eat dinner tonight, rather than the truth, which is, assuming I get home tonight, I think I'll probably want to eat dinner. The latter acknowledges the mist in all projections, and the former doesn't, reinforcing the false idea that the future exists. Executed. Yeah, it's unfortunate. You have copyright-free piano music you want to put on. Or really just music in general. You feel free to send it over Discord. That's what I put it. No, it isn't. I'll finish writing this passage and then explain what I've been thinking about. I probably should have said that in the mic. I'll finish writing this passage and explain what I've been thinking about with all this. The only thing that exists is the present. The future is just an imaginary world and what we think is most likely to happen. But in imagining it as a real place, we begin to believe that it is real. We tell ourselves, I'm going to go home and eat dinner tonight. Rather than the truth, which is assuming I get home tonight, I think I'll probably want to eat dinner. The latter acknowledges the mist in all predictions, and the former doesn't, reinforcing the false idea that the future exists. After so many years with the automatic assumption that the future is real, we naturally feel we're missing something if we don't construct some idea of it. But therein lies the problem. It is merely a construction. Everything you have ever done, planned, executed, or predicted has all been in the present. There is no possibility of missing out on that, on what doesn't exist. And while planning should be While planning and predicting are natural and necessary part of life, they don't require a belief that the future is a real and separate thing. Take, for example, the plan of running a marathon. Normally, you would imagine completing the task, summoning the will to do so with great effort and making your attempt. On the other hand, while staying in the present, running a marathon is only as difficult as first deciding it's likely you would enjoy competing and or completing a marathon, and then taking the first step. At any given point, you only need the will to take another step. And if you need to stop, there's no hesitation or worry that you're abandoning your goals. They were never thought to be decided in the first place. So, this is what I've been thinking about for the last few days. Which, let me confirm my age real quick. Oh, I'm a day off. 9,807. Time flies. So, for the last 4 days? No, it hasn't even been that. 2 days. I'm crazy. It feels like a very long time. I've been very focused on being in the present. Because I realized that the future really doesn't exist. Like, ever. It's just an idea. And it's a series of present moments. That there's nothing you can do outside of the present. That is all that exists. It only ever feels like you do something in the future when you plan or you worry or doubt. It feels like you're getting some insight about the future, but you're not. The only insight you have ever gained, that any of us has ever gained, was from the present, by looking at the present world, by remembering the past, and making a prediction. We can't gaze into the future. It just feels like we can. Because we get it right so often. I'm going to take another step. I'm going to take another step. I'm going to take another step. And you eventually, you feel like to some extent that you can predict the future, but you can't. If you could, even for like a second ahead of you, that would be an incredible superpower. There's a whole movie with Nick Cage called Next. It's about the idea of looking just a little bit into the future. And how powerful that is. We get surprised all the time. Sometimes you trip. Sometimes you stub your toe. And that idea of, I'm going to take a step, is torn asunder. Get used to these little surprises. We get so used to living a life that is based on this idea that the future exists. But it doesn't. And my brain is still a little bit of brain soup about all of this, so bear with me. But the incredible thing I've noticed about all this is that doubt, disappointment, frustration, all only exists with some concept of the future. Patience is totally different. Rather than trusting in a promise that the current moment will change, you just accept it. Everything is indefinite. That's the crazy thing. Everything is indefinite. Like, what the fuck, man? Let me write down these bullet points, actually. Everything is indefinite. Any experience you have, a note on a piano, the smell of bacon in the morning, theoretically could go on forever. There is a possibility. Is it likely? Absolutely not. But there is a chance. Even if there are no laws of physics or experiences or any data towards it, there's a chance it could happen. Because no knowledge is perfect. It's like how there is a chance that the universe could unravel in front of us in the next 30 seconds because of some nature of physics that we just don't know yet, that we've never interacted with before, that we would have no way of knowing. Likely, no. Is there any evidence for it? Absolutely not. To the contrary, actually. All the evidence we have is that the universe has been here for a very long time. It's going to keep being here for a very long time. But it is possible, and this seems ridiculous until you realize that, like, any time you have been bored or impatient, a moment has gone on longer than you expected it to. Has felt like it's gone on longer than you expected it to feel. And while it's not indefinite, while those experiences did end, well, I mean, while it's not infinite, it is still indefinite. We do not know where that experience will end. And so, when you scrap this idea that the future exists, you realize that everything's indefinite. And I've been in that state relearning what patience is. That it's about acceptance of the moment and enduring the indefinite. In light of the fact that it is indefinite. And it's such a strange transition. Burlow variant of the bellow. Do you mean bellow as in like bellow with an emoji bee hello? Well, regardless, welcome home. And it's O. I'm surprised. I didn't expect anyone from the Brain World streams to come for the writing streams, but I'm glad you're here. If you have any questions or thoughts, let me know. Right now I'm in the monologuing stage, but it goes between this and just writing. Knees? Hello? I have no idea what that is. Oh, Minionese! Oh, I pronounced that very wrong. I see. Well, welcome. Yeah, everything is indefinite. There's no guarantee that any experience we have will end. It's insanely unlikely that anything would go on forever, but it's possible. That is just what we are experiencing, but our perception of it changes when we believe that the future is a thing that exists. An island that we can get to. How do I want to put this next part? Frustration, disappointment. Others. I can just leave it at that. Just a good note for later. Back dinner decided to take a bathroom break. Welcome back. Welcome back from the internet shitting itself. I see what's happening here. Nope, nope, that's not what I thought was happening. Oh, here we go. It's typewriter rules. Truly come into existence. I found that living in the present radically, being consciously and continuously aware of and an acknowledgement of the fact that the future is imaginary, is so fucking nice. It eliminates the doubt and the worry, which is just filled, in my case, with self-trust. Everything is remembered better and better experienced. All of my mind is devoted entirely to the task in front of me. It's brain melting, to be sure. The process of changing from one mindset to the other is it's a lot. It truly leaves me with a headache from all of the mental shifting that happens. But it's so worth it. For the first time, everything just feels light. Like the marathon example, you just have to have the initiative to take the one step. And at the end of the day, you end up running a 5K, and at no point was it ever that difficult. No, at no point did you feel that weight of the idea of running a 5K. When I'm at work, it's usually really boring, but I'm just in the moment. And it doesn't matter how long it's gonna be. I'm just living. That's another weird part I don't quite understand yet. Why I'm okay waiting while I'm more aware of the time. I'm more aware of the moment. You'd think it would take longer, and yet I couldn't give a shit about what time it was, so it goes faster. Like at my job, that's like the worst thing. It's just staring at the clock. It drives people insane. It's driven me insane before. You gotta look at the clock with this mindset, and nothing changes. It just is. It just is a time. It has nothing to do with the present moment, because a later time is a later time. It's just a quality of the moment. I'll put that down. Oh, anticipation. rather than something to be dreaded. That's gonna be one of the weirdest things. The experience of time. It also requires a lot of acceptance. Yourself, your situation, the world around you, everything that exists. I think it's safe to say that being in non-acceptance with the present is the same as having that solidified view of the future. Just that's your alternative right there. That's the thing. And then there's identity. Identity is really weird. I'll say said and done, but done is enough. Saying something is doing something. Identity-lacking measurement of what we've done becomes a secondary thought. While being in the present, unless otherwise prompted, don't consider identity. Things. Oh, wait, what am I doing? Mayhaps will be too EBDB to stream today. I've been pushing myself really hard. My voice sounds alright now, but it's been going. Even this so far has been nice. That's what I mean by my brain is fried. Whew. What? Let's write something else. Let's make a new vault for reviews. Let's review Rain World. Oh, I have to add the community plugins to each vault separately. Yeah, I see. I see. Click, clack. I'm back again. You're completely very curious what are we doing now? We're still just writing. I was getting sleepy thinking about how the future doesn't exist. Because I've been working on that in a few days, and I needed to get it out. So I'm doing a little halfway review of Rain World. The normal experiences? Well, I sure hope so. The future doesn't exist. It doesn't. Actually, I can go back and we can talk about that real quick. Let me pull up the other notes. But it doesn't. Everything you have ever done, experienced, or felt, planned, has all been in the present. And that's what I've been thinking about lately. The fact that the future is just an imaginary world, as imaginary as any other. As fucking Star Wars. That is simply our idea of what we think is likely to happen in a different present moment. And how devastating it is to conceptualize it in any other way. I'm a science and astronomy lover. I do believe in the future. I see where we're coming from, though. No, but, like, seriously, think about it. I'll lose sleep to that sometimes. I don't mean that there won't be a future. I just mean the future is not guaranteed in any way. Like, I think there's going to be a future, sure. Absolutely. There's no evidence that there wouldn't be a future. But I'm not talking about what's likely. I'm talking about what is. The universe could unravel in 30 seconds because of some key piece of physics we don't understand yet. I don't think it will. But it's not something that I know. And this pairs with the idea that there is no knowledge, only likelihood. So no predetermined future. I wouldn't even say predetermined. How do I put this? It is simply imagined. Like, we feel like we go from the present to the future, but it's just different present moments. And in realizing that, you realize that everything that you worry about doesn't exist. Any doubts that you have no hold. And it's really weird. It's really, really weird. Beliefs some people have, the predetermined. Your current experience isn't part of the future. Is that what you're getting at? Let me think about, like, current experience isn't part of the future. Well, okay. Well, let's back up. And let's define what exists, right? My definition of existence is that existence is. So everything that has that state of being and requires no other description. No other thing to be true. It just exists. The sun, the stars, the moon, the electricity in our brain, right? And everything that exists in the present. The future is not a thing. It is just an idea. It's a made-up thing that we've made, right? You never go to the future. You never experience the future. You've never seen the future. You've only seen different present moments. The present changes, and our concept of the future is what we think it's likely to become. But only ever in our experience is it the present. That is the only thing that we ever experience. One of the examples I give in this passage is, imagine running a marathon. And first is the normal way you think about it. You think about, I'm going to run this 5K. 5-kilometer marathon. Hi, Ruby. That was loud. You can come up here if you want. My cat's here now. Sorry, I have to stop talking because I used my hands. My cat demands scratches. Okay. So, the 5K. You think about the 5K. You gather the courage to run 5 kilometers, and you consider it as doing that. Right? That if I do this thing, this other thing will happen. And so you have to prepare for that. The other way to do it is to think entirely in the present. And by thinking entirely in the present, you think, I believe I'll likely really enjoy doing this thing. I think I'll really feel fulfilled if I am in a present moment where I have just finished running a 5K. And I think in present moments beyond that, it'll be super satisfying. So then you take a step. And then you take another step. And at no point do you need any more motivation than to take one more step. And if at some point you stop running, there is no, oh, I've failed to run a 5K. It is, I've decided not to take a step. We naturally perceive the future. Well, I don't even know if it's naturally. I feel like kids don't really do this. But we generally perceive the future as being a thing that is in some way guaranteed. And that it is a physical thing you will get to, and the only thing that changes is what you know about the future. But the future just doesn't exist. It is not a thing. It is not a part of this universe. This universe only exists in the present. So, maybe there's a future. Maybe there are other present moments we will experience. But they will all be present moments. Does that make sense? I think a way to help describe this, there are ads coming in a minute, is that this is about what we live more than it is about science or math. I think so. I'm glad. Yeah, it's a lot to wrap your head around, and that because I've been doing that for days, and this is the summation of all those thoughts. My brain cells don't fire very fast today. Don't worry, mine don't either. I think another way to put it is that if it's about the future, it's as imaginary as any fictional place. Thanks a lot. So no futures, only present. Is that it? Yeah, basically. Just a lot of different present moments. And what is a present moment is fractal. It gets down infinitely small, but what we can perceive has a minimum. Thinking this way is more of an art than it is a science. And something that will always be subject to improvement. But yes, as much as our brain is processing something as before the future or after the past, we will never actually experience the present. The only thing that ever happens is the present moment. You can't prepare for the future. You can prepare for a present moment that you think is likely to happen. And a lot of this text is going into why that's important. Why that matters. And how it changes so much. How it highlights the fact that every experience is indefinite. It's actually a time theory that is very, very similar to this. It just has general relativity applied to it. I see. Yeah. If I was gonna explain it from a time experience, or from a scientific point of view, it'd be a bit different. That time is, well, from a scientific point of view, it's all already happened. You've already made every decision you're ever going to make, as far as my understanding of time. The description that I apply to, what I think is likely to be true, is blob time. It's very interesting when it comes to what you mentioned before, predeterminism and such. But even the idea of considering the universe as predetermined goes beyond this. That no matter what is true, what is scientifically accurate outside of our experience, you will only ever live in the present. If that makes sense. We could be in a simulation, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't change the fact that the present is all that exists. Pockets of bubble. Each bubble appears, and that's its now relative position. Oh, I see what you mean. Like into the box, and it fills up to create a physical thing. Makes sense to me what you said earlier. Yeah. Yeah. It's weird to separate yourself from it. But once you get it, it really lands. And I'm glad. I'm glad what I said makes sense. Because it's an important concept. Like, it changes a lot. Because, like, one of the things I talked about earlier was that patience goes from faith that an experience will end to acceptance of an indefinite moment. Because every moment is indefinite. Everything we experience has no guaranteed end. Very likely to end. It's almost impossible, historically speaking, for anything to be perpetual for someone's entire life. But there's no guarantee it will ever end. Even what seems to be the briefest of moments, has no guaranteed end. Somebody claps, and you're like, oh yeah, that sound is just going to be one, right? It could just echo on forever. It's because we have these predictions that are right so often. It builds up this confidence in us that the future exists, that it's a thing that you're predicting, that it's coming, that you can see it with your mind, but you can't. You're just imagining something, right? You can't see the future with your mind. You can't affect it or gain any information from it. You can conceptualize what a different present might be, and it feels like you've interacted with the future, but you've only ever done that. You've only ever conceived of the future in the present moment. BRB, no problem. False alarm? Okay. Yeah, no problem. But yeah. Anything where you feel like you have experienced the future has only ever happened in the present. Planning, prediction, handling a moment, right? So like, imagine you're thinking about like that marathon again. And you're like, okay, I'm gonna get water, I'm gonna get food, I'm gonna do all these things. And you plan it all out, and you go there, and you do the thing. You feel like you saw the future, you did something about it, and then it changed that future. That's not what happened. In the present moment, you thought to yourself, it's likely that I'm gonna want these things. And it's likely that I'm going to take these things and successfully get it there, and then I'm gonna want to do that thing. You can see how laborious it is to think that way, but that's what's actually happening. Only ever were you in the present. Only ever did you conceive in the present, execute in the present, experience in the present. Am I just in time? Planning never goes right. Exactly. Because you're basing a plan on an imagined world. It is the same thing as if you just imagined Star Wars or Rain World. I mean, Rain World is a physical game, so maybe that's not as good of a thing. But, like, imagine a world in your head. That is as real as any future. You want to imagine giant planet-eating cats with lasers coming out of their eyes? That is just as real as you thinking, I'm going to go eat dinner tonight. Just as real. The same amount. The exact same amount of realities in both things. They are completely imagined worlds. Yes, going and eating dinner tonight is a world that feasibly could exist. That has a very high likelihood of existing, but it doesn't. It is not your present moment. While being in the present, I have never been affected with doubt, of worry. I've never been affected with, in any meaningful way, frustration or disappointment. It just is. It's just a constant acceptance. Completely focused and entranced with the task. Completely imbibing in every moment. And when I recall them much better because I'm having a lot more moments. And the weird thing is, the time just becomes a factor of that moment that is accepted. Because when you sit and you think about, I'm really excited for this thing, you're waiting for Christmas morning, right? Whatever time limit your parents set on you getting up in the morning to open presents, you're like, I can't wait for this thing. But if you're just in the present, it's like, it just is 10 o'clock. And that keeps being. And it's weird and fascinating and so satisfying. Some bubble blocks thing. I'm going to find video and timestamp real quick. Should take a minute. Oh, if you're putting in a video, Throw it in the Discord. For bot reasons, we have links banned. But yeah, it's really something. Mods can yes, mods should be able to send links. So yeah, if you send it to Litrap, Litrap can send it. I'm Litrap. Hi, Litrap. Did I get it right? I did. I did get it right, and I psyched myself out. Can't find it. It's okay. But yeah, everything that I talk about in that way, and I can talk about it more, goes with the cult of the Deepwood and the idea of living the most best life. That's actually something I should add. I should write about how this affects the whole finding Aether thing. That really important thing. Identity, a lagging measurement of what we've done, becomes a secondary thought. While being in the present, unless otherwise prompted, you don't consider identity, but simply do things. If the need ever arises, you simply consider what you've done up till now, that you can remember. As you know, traveled backwards a substantial amount. Would the future still exist if I had recollection? That's a fair question. So, no. in fact. It wouldn't. You would just know it's incredibly likely what's going to happen. All that would do is increase your chances of predicting a different present moment, of what a present moment later on is going to be like. Does that make sense? So, yeah, you're seeing all these things happen. Even if you went back as a ghost that could not affect but could experience the past, couldn't change anything. All you could possibly know is what is very, very likely to happen. Always think back to the idea that in 30 seconds the universe could unravel. You could also do that if you went back in time. It's based in the fact that we cannot know anything. That knowledge does not exist. Maybe that's what a good way to segue it. Knowledge doesn't exist. Therefore, the future does not exist. Also, side note on time travel, movies get it very wrong, like the butterfly effect, right? People take it as a butterfly flapping its wings creates a tornado in Texas. Because it's easier to say, but it's very wrong. It's the fact that there is a chance a butterfly flapping its wings creates a tornado in Texas. Here's another way to think about it. In media, when you go back in time, you stop somebody from eating a sandwich, right? And then everything gets fucked up. The world is over, you kicked the wrong pebble, and bam, nuclear apocalypse. It is technically possible, but so horrifically unlikely, it's statistically impossible. It's the same likelihood that if you went back in the past, caused a nuclear apocalypse, and then went back to your present timeline, there was no differences. Both those outcomes, you kicking the wrong pebble and it causing a nuclear apocalypse, and you going back and making a nuclear apocalypse and coming back to an unchanged future, are both equally likely. And that really sets it up for people, because all we see is change, right? But when you think about the idea of the timeline of the past being changed so much, and then the timeline recorrecting itself after all of that, you're like, oh, well, that's impossible. And it feels natural to think that way. But it's the same thing. In reality, just like ripples on a pond, when you throw a pebble in, it creates ripples, and those ripples will get consumed by a larger wave, right? If you give somebody $5, if you go back in time and give somebody $5, and then they get hit by a car, compared to just getting hit by the car, nothing changes. Like, they just die. They get hit by truck sama, they get isekai'd into a different world, right? That car was the bigger wave. There was a more affecting event that has consumed the change that you made. That happens all the fucking time. If you went back in time in your own life and you had recollection and you knew what was going to happen, it would entirely change your life. It would drastically change the life of the people close to you. It would largely change the life of the people you're acquainted with. It would kind of change the lives of the people you roughly interact with, and nothing else would change. It's easier to think of the world as like this big connected thing that it like is exactly the way that it is and everything matters, but it doesn't. It just doesn't. That's just not how the world works. Enjoy the lurk. Sleep well. We just exist as we are. And a lot of the things in the world have nothing to do with our actions. That's really freeing, to be honest. We put so much weight on being responsible for the future, which is another advantage of not thinking about it as a real thing. Really just being acknowledging that it's not real, that it doesn't exist. It's just an idea. but we don't carry that kind of a burden. We can believe we carry that kind of a burden, but we don't. If we were in a village of like 120 people, as humans were for a very long time, we evolved to be a part of, yeah, sure, you would be. Everything you did would matter. But we live in a world of 8 billion people, of immense size. What is it, 27,000 miles? No. It's 12,000 kilometers, 7,000 miles. What was it getting 27? Well, about 8,000. 7,900 miles. It's a big place, right? Why carry that? It's not true. There's nothing to do with the reality of your life. You're important as you are, because importance is arbitrary, and I at least say that you're important. That's just as valid as the whole world saying that you're important. What's it writing? Right. I keep being right and correcting myself. It's a lagging, ever-changing lagging measurement. Question: why does my little chat picture same every time? Does it correspond to certain username colors? Just have really good luck. I have no idea. I honestly have no idea. Oh, you mean the little thing? Yeah. No. It's based on like chatter, mod, etc. Mine has my own thing. Yeah, the chat widgets. See? Latraps is different. There's the bot one, and then Latraps is a mod. I think that's everything. I'd have to ask Ben. Identity is a weird thing too. Identity is, as Atomic Habits put it, a lagging measurement of who we are. And it's true. It's based on the things that we've already done. And what we believe we're likely to do in the future. Because we're always changing, and because it's lagging, it's never accurate. By some amount. And because of that, by the same amount, everything we do based off of our identity is ineffective. By whatever amount. By however lagged it is. By however much we've changed in that time. In the refresh rate, so to speak. But if you take each action regardless of identity, only being in the present moment, you avoid that entirely. Fun fact, there's a super void called Boat's Void. And if Earth was in the center of it, is it Buotes? Is that how you pronounce that? Anyways, actually we would have not seen the first stars until the 1960s. Well, let me read the doc. Here, I can try and make it bigger. I think that's about as big as we're gonna get. It's more there for visual purposes. But that is insane. I have to think about how, like, stars, the light from a star has passed through millions, if not billions, of light years of space to hit exactly in your retina in the sickest trick shot ever conceived. It's wild. It's wild to consider what it means to exist. That's why I'm so damn grateful to exist. It's fucking amazing. It's horrifying as it can be. I'd rather exist than not. Like, I think about the stars and the moon and the sunsets that we get to see. And God, it sure beats a void. All of the forces were constantly dancing around. Atoms and the chemistry, the history of it all. It's just fucking incredible to sit and comprehend where we are and how massive everything is, and the fact that we get to be, that we get to exist and be a part of this incredible stage. That I get a chance to do something, anything with my life, even if it's just breathe and die. That's pretty fucking sick. It's not always the case. That's fine. I get it. A lot of people don't even really care about being happy, but I don't think I could ever be so ungrateful to exist to not care about happiness, if that makes sense. Talking about cool trick shots, there was an asteroid that hit Earth with radioactive dating. It says it's about a little under 13 billion years old, which means it's further than the observable universe. God damn. From the center of the Big Bang. Which, I don't think I've... Oh, no, I know I haven't discussed it since you've been around, but I have a little theory that the Big Bang is just still happening and it's a white hole. You know, like Rosenberg diagram, black holes, white holes, that it's just a constant spewing of matter and vacuum and such. It was part of it being alive is the fact that I can do things. Yeah. And, like, it's worth not overthinking. You get to exist. And, yeah, we do get to do things. We get to have some kind of an effect on the things around us. For me, just existing is enough. So base the whole cult around. Being a human is even better. I get to be aware of existence. I get to think about things and experience them. I get to do new stuff, write things, have a stream, talk to people, trade ideas, and consider my place in this whole crazy-ass cosmos. I think about human history a lot, too. Oh, speaking of which, I'm still here. I just need to change the calendars that are above my desk. I have Kurzgesagt calendars. 3 years of them, and they're fucking gorgeous. And now we're on March. I flip them all each month, each year, because I just can't help but look at them. They're so fucking pretty. Also helps me keep track of time. Just the fact that a month has passed. Though, I guess keep track of time more of a broad way. Do you know one thing about the present, the all, this passage really gets me thinking about? That it seems to be, one of, if not the last, existential problem for me to solve out of all the thinking I've done. Because when you live in the present, existing is just what you do. It is a passive effect. And something about it just feels final. It answers most of the questions I've had left. Unlurk. Yeah, there's not a command for that, unfortunately. That'd be funny. Maybe we should. Maybe we should make it a command. Of like... I'm here and active, paying attention. Could make it a little redeem. It's certainly the last thing to worry about, because when you only experience the present, when you're aware that you're only experiencing the present, rather, worry can't exist. That's just really weird. Bless you, thank you. It's really weird to think about life. That no worry exists. And it's gonna take a while to train my brain to think like this, but it's already been worth it, to be honest, the last couple of days. That up. Oh, I fucked that up bad. Well. So, to explain, the Cult of the Deepwood is a community based on the idea that existence is. What I was mentioning before. a lot of it so far has gone into what doesn't exist. Like, you know, good and bad, right? Wants and needs. Value. It's all arbitrary. If you took a human with infinite intelligence and magic powers, but with no instincts, plop them down, they'd suffocate. Because there is no reason. Reasons don't exist. They're just arbitrary. Things that our brain, the brains of living things, do to keep the cycle going. Because the cycle started with things that did things because of instincts. Automatic responses, like viruses. But think from the perspective of the sun, the earth, the trees. Well, maybe not the trees, the stones. Reasons do not exist. And in view of that all those things are arbitrary, you realize they're all equally valid. What we value, what we find important. They're all equally valid in that they're all completely fictitious. And arbitrary. So, that means, as long as you're valuable to somebody, you are just as valuable as anything else. Just as valid. Even if it's just yourself. It's not necessarily a good thing. Fucking hate the idea that, you know, murderers exist. But they do. And I can't deny that. Just because I don't like it doesn't change the fact that the Earth still rotates around the sun. There's a lot to get into there. But in view of that, the cult decides to take the stance that existence is good. And so to get the most out of it, to experience it as much as possible, to live a life of the highest quality and variation. The most life and the most new experiences and at the best possible quality. The most best life. And to do that requires gathering aether, which is just a term I coined to describe life fuel. The fact that some things drive you forward and help enable you to go and have more better life, while other things don't. It's not necessarily tied to fun or enjoyment. You can go to a funeral and it can be really inspiring or completely shut you down. And often you don't know for a while. And whether or not it does that tells you how much aether it gives or takes. Gathering as much aether will automatically lead you down the most best life. So long as that's the goal. Will enable you to lead the most best life. So, being aware that the future does not exist is, I'm realizing, a core importance. Key event in life? No, not exactly. Key events can be bad. Can reduce aether. So, like, think of all the things that would enable you to live more life at a higher quality. Like doing your laundry. Right? And it's never any one specific action or event. Each one is different. If you do only laundry for your entire life, well, that's not a very high quality life. And that's not a really varied life either. And yes, quality is defined by you. Getting a vaccine as a kid hurts for a second and keeps you from getting a life-ending disease. That's pretty full of Aether. That does a huge job enabling you to live more and better life. Aether is a fuel that can come from literally anything we do or experience. Anything that exists. Any thoughts we have, any view we hold. You can also lose Aether to things. You can go out to a party and get demotivated and lose yourself. Wasting time drinking and doubting yourself and being insecure. You can also go to a party and it free you, leaving you bold to experience new things. Fearlessness can, at the right ratios, lead you down a life that you've always wanted to live. And if you have absolutely no fear, it can lead you to dying. How much Aether something gives you is never something you can ever know for sure. Like anything else. And only you know it best. The individual is going to have the best idea. And often, like, close friends and family are going to have a pretty good idea of what might give you Aether. The important part is that it's not inherently tied to good or bad or anything else. It's just about what enables you to live more and better life. And so the cult seeks to, in every action and choice, make the choice, take the action, have the thoughts that would give the most Aether. Being that all the Aether you will ever experience, all the Aether that you will ever gather is in the present, I've realized it's very important to live entirely from the present. As much as you possibly can. Even events that are unimportant to you, like eating, are real important to Aether. Not a big emotional impact, but you don't starve, and starving would really fucking suck. It encompasses all things, and nothing is inherently one way or the other. Generally, yeah, starving would be really bad, but in the right circumstance, like if you got stuck on an island, you could have an incredible life-changing experience. That's the other thing. Having the perspective that would give you the most Aether in every moment. Right? You'll notice that how much Aether you gather from something is largely under the influence of the individual. Using every moment that we're alive to live. It's a way to conceptualize something that is often very slippery. But yeah. I don't think I still have it on here. Maybe I do. I've taken the cult test. But there is a oath of flourishing that just says I commit to living the most best life that I can, essentially. Let me actually see if I can find that. What's this one? On the mountaintop. Ah, yes, that's a really good one. That's a really good passage. Existence just is. think I'll find it here. I'll find it somewhere. I'm very tired. No problem. Enjoy the sleep. These are very sleepy streams, after all. Lots of big thoughts. Fully expect people to fall asleep, and I have no problem with that. I'm happy to provide the peace. I think it's pretty likely that this will be one of the last things to master before I write the full Deepwood text, and it's going to be a lot shorter than I thought it would be. Might end up being more like a Deepwood pamphlet, but I think I'm kind of fine with that. Life is such a weird thing. It is an exception rather than the rule. A pattern that gets to repeat over and over and over again. Build up history and now become aware of itself. An event that is aware of itself. Like, imagine a supernova having consciousness. Or a pile of boulders rolling down a hill, being conscious of that rolling pile of boulders, or a river. Life is another one of those events. In a lot of ways, I relate a lot to, I think it was in Hamlet, Shakespeare called life a play. We are but an actor on the stage. I think it was Hamlet himself that said that. And it really is like a play. Because it is, and it's here, and then it'll be over. Maybe it'll start up again, but it is like an event. All intermingling with each other. In that way, it is contrast. A finite thing in a seemingly indefinite universe. That, even if common, is truly unique compared to all the rest of the things which exist. We get the privilege of having a part in that play. A place on that stage. I want people to experience that stage. To live grand and fulfilling lives. To thrive and flourish. It took me a long time to understand that, despite starting the cults and these streams. But I really do want that for other people. Inherently. Deeply. In the present, not tied to any past experience or any hope of the future. Without any thought of, oh, this is going to happen. Or if I do this, this is going to happen. I simply want to do it. In pretty much each passing moment that I have lived up till now. I'm excited that I get to do that on stream. At the very least, we get to share lovely experiences.
body's letting me know I'm pushing it. So maybe we end it here. I'll work on getting the VODs uploaded that I've been slacking on. For now, I say goodnight. Give myself a little bit more sleep, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Yeah, see you all tomorrow. Sleep well, everyone.